Hey, Reg, you shave your balls?
I do shave my balls.
What product do you use?
I use Manscaped, especially the Lawnmower Trimmer 4.0.
Wow, I need to check that out.
I think you should. And with our code, RAPINORDER20, you can get 20% off.
Wow, Reg, thanks for that. My girl's going to be so happy.
Smooth as eggs. And welcome to another episode of Rap in Order. I'm First Class Regg.
I'm Taurian B.
We got that Aviles guy joining us.
Yo.
And today we're getting into a very monumental album. This is actually, gentlemen, this is our 150th episode.
Oh, shit.
So that deserves some applause.
$1.50, and we ain't talking about to cut across your face.
Hey. Yes. So yeah, we've gone through a lot of monumental albums on this. We've gone through some albums that we didn't necessarily like. We've gotten blocked by some artists in the past.
Oh, Lloyd Banks, what up?
We've we've been through the ringer with some of these albums that we've just listened to, just off the strength of just being good friends, because somebody just champions an album.
Yeah.
We get to it, we trash it, or we love it. That's how it goes. But today, we're getting into My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It's the 5th studio album from Kanye West. It was released in 2010, November 2010, around this time, actually. We had production from No ID. You had Mike Dean. You had Bink. You had RZA, DJ Frank E, Kanye, of course.
Ryan Leslie.
Huh?
Didn't Ryan Leslie have something on
No,
there?
that's on the Good Friday. Let Reg run through the stuff first.
So there's a lot of lore around this album. Of course, we had the lead with the Good Friday releases that came out, right? That made this album all the more sweeter. And then, of course, the success of this album, everything around this album, Kanye had his break because he went through the whole media circus with the Taylor Swift thing. Took some time off. Was it Paris? I always mix that up.
He went to Rome, and then from Rome he went to Paris.
Yes,
and he worked at Fendi as an intern, and learned how to make fabric and learn how to sew and make clothes and everything.
As a way to kind of humble himself and just get off the grid. I think I read, was it XXL, that he disclosed that Mos Def actually advised him to get out of the country.
Yeah. So he went to Japan.
Okay.
He went to Japan because there's no paparazzi.
Okay.
And then from Japan he went to Rome.
Okay.
There you go.
So then he went off the grid. And he went, kind of squared itself away, got creative afterwards, I think, because this album was mostly created in Hawaii, right?
Mm-hmm.
He flew some
tweets.
people out. What Wale tweets?
That Wale was asking to get invited to the session and wasn't.
Yeah, so he went to, let me make sure I pronounce this right. I'm not going to pronounce it right. It starts with an O, though. Anuha, Hawaii. I don't think I'm pronouncing it right. That's where he went, but that was also where he recorded some of 808s and Heartbreaks. So it was familiar to him, but I'll let you take it and then just bring it back to me. So
Well, so I was already just getting to his creative process in Hawaii anyway. Okay. I just remember Noah Callahan, really excellent writer at the time for Complex, who is at Def Jam now, I think. But he documented this whole process with Kanye because he flew out to Hawaii with him, and he documented the whole process. I remember the photo that he took of like the rules that Kanye had on the wall, that like no tweets, no photos, no this, no that. Like he had all these rules out on the thing, and it was kind of a way to disconnect before we even really resonated with what disconnecting was with social media, because it wasn't really at the height of social media. I just remember him re-emerging with like wearing suits and like he just had Rosewood, right? Mm-hmm. Rosewood era was like amazing to me because obviously for me it was the surgence of Big Sean. He had like a really monumental time in this era with that BET cipher. But all of like just the air around Kanye, he seemed lighter. He seemed more in tune. He premiered some of the records at Facebook headquarters, He went up there. He performed on the table.
That was the Def Jam where everybody had to come with the suit era too, right?
Yeah, no. Around
That's
this era,
literally what
he
he
just he just was wearing a suit. He was popping up. He was going to High 97 with
That's what I'm
Pusha.
saying, yeah, with Pusha. Okay.
Yeah, it was like a lot of lore around this album, and of course, Good Fridays was like a thing. That's actually around when I met these guys, like Eli, Taurian.
This is literally the year we met.
Yeah, we would be in there, like literally on closing shifts, like looking at the watch, like, yo, Good Friday is dropping tonight. Like, it hasn't dropped yet. And I remember he dropped Looking for Trouble with Cole. He was waiting on Cole's verse.
Is this the first drop for an album that, like, for hip hop wise, that I feel like kind of the more inclusive of like understanding, oh no, you can go here to go hear this or that to hear this, and the rolling out that I feel like everybody in the country was consciously going with at the time, like, because we had the rollout of every Friday, and I feel like that was the talk. Every Friday, every Saturday, it was like, yo, some people weren't heading out of their house before they could hear the Good Friday drop. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like this was the first, like, hip-hop moment of us hearing something in the making, and I think that developed into Kanye's way of dropping things and what's eventually come into his live album
That's actually a good point out, because the way, and some people think it's Kanye to a fault, like he listens to the public, because he would, like, he still to this day like combs through forums to see if people like certain shit in his music, and he'll take what they're saying and then like kind of tweak it into the songs that are on there, because I saw a lot of that criticism around Donda.
Right. So like you touched on, the Good Fridays was a big deal, right? So I think everybody has the biggest thing for me is everybody has a moment of when the first time they heard this album is completion. They were either in the car, they either heard it on, they downloaded on that off of Kazaa or one of those LimeWire, whatever was still up at that time, or they actually bought the physical copy and like heard this album for the first time, right? And my thing is just that, like, Fashion Night Out during Fashion Week, and seeing, because Kanye West, where we worked at in Soho, me and Rez worked at in Soho, Kanye West lived up the block, and Eli, cameraman, shout out to Eli. We would see Kanye West walking around, working out. Prior to this, we saw him working out in Soho constantly before the Glow in the Dark tour, right? Mm-hmm. So being able to see like him randomly in Soho, it was kind of dope. And then during Fashion Night Out, I think that was just like the apex of that. And then we don't have Fashion Night Out anymore because it was just too much, right? Mm-hmm. So hearing that album and then having all of this going on, think about it. Like, from the whole summer, he gave us 14 songs on Good Fridays. He damn near, And then think about the songs that didn't make this album. That's another thing that I wanted to touch on. I'm kind of getting all over the place, right? But let's think about this. He was going in one direction because the album, this was after he pushed back Good Ass Job for 808s and Heartbreaks. This album was supposed to be Good Ass Job, but he was in a darker place, and the song and the strings and songs that he was trying to like make were darker, because Q-Tip, Pete Rock, and DJ Premier did mini tracks for this album. Mm-hmm. And the one song that Q-Tip was like really pissed off not pissed off, but disappointed that Kanye didn't put out was Mama's Boyfriend.
Oh yeah.
All right, you niggas. Mm-hmm. like that shit was
Boyfriend.
It was so uncomfortable seeing him perform that.
Just like
it was so uncomfortable watching him perform that at Facebook headquarters with all those white people in a suit in front of it. Like, it was just hilarious, right? So as time was going on, it was kind of like we were able to see this album be created, and that's what I thought was really cool about it, right? So then, like, when we hear all of the stories about what was going on in Hawaii and all the people that like just passed through, like, he was just inviting. It was so, like, I want to make sure I pronounce this right. Yeah, I know I have a problem. Communicative, there you go, right? And that's kind of like what the RZA and Pete Rock described, and like they were shocked that he is so humble. Yeah. Because they said they were describing what was going on, and they were saying how, like, basically the day would start with them waking up, eating breakfast, and then they would just talk about the day before. They would talk about what they want to do in the future, and they would talk about the present, right? Mm-hmm. So then after breakfast, they would go and play basketball or go and do things. Cuddy would go and meditate. Common would be back and forth. whoever was there would come and do their thing. Some different people in the writing rooms, and Pete Rock said that like he wanted to like test Jay, so like he would like give him samples and see like what he can chop up out of it. The RZA said that like he would just like give him like impossible things to do or like challenges and see like what Kanye can do with that. And then there was an interview where Big Sean said that like he will get frustrated because they will be in the room working on a song, and then Kanye would like in the recording room in like room number 2, he would hear like something going on, and then Kanye would like leave and then start focusing on that. And they said it was like Kanye was kind of like on some Dr. Manhattan shit, where he's in one place and then like he has out of body experiences and leaves them, right?
Yeah.
So when I think about this project, the one thing that I think about is all of the songs that were left off this album, and then like some of them that got placed other places. Like Pete Rock's The Joy, it got put on Watch the Throne.
Yeah.
Right? All of the Pete Rock music, all the music that he got with DJ Premier, we've never heard. Right? And some of those, like we heard Mama's Boyfriend with Q-Tip, but like it's just what he was able to do. And before, because I'm being long with it, I just want to get my last thing out, that this project, right, is Kanye's love song to Wu-Tang.
I can understand that completely.
Yeah, a lot of
His love song, his love letter. It's his love letter to the RZA.
I can understand that, from the sample usage to the growth to the dynamics that Wu-Tang had from that original fucking inception, and it's something that now I can accept after hearing or actually watching the Wu-Tang show. But a big thing of this album too was like, I feel like this album never got the flowers it deserved because it got stepped on by Watch the Throne slightly.
Nah, I don't think so at all. Hell no. This album,
I feel like over time we've been able to accept it, but in the moment, I feel like in the exact time when Watch the Throne came out in such close proximity, I think a lot of people had a hard time understanding how amazing this album was.
I don't agree with that.
I feel like a lot of people I speak to now understand it more and accept this album more than they did at the time, because I just think there were a lot of people who were just blindsided by Jay all of a sudden coming out in the time period in which it came at.
No, I don't think so. I actually think it was like perfect timing because him and Jay were in like such like they were in a rhythm. They
were in such a good place.
They were in such good sync, right? Like at that time, like they were inseparable. They were like brothers. Like Kanye was calling Beyonce his little sister, and like they were like really moving like family, right? So let's think about this. He does MTV Awards. This is his first, and like later that following year after the Taylor Swift incident, right? So he does that. Mind you, he had to cancel the tour that he was supposed to go on with Lady Gaga, right? And that atrocious like poster of him looking like King Kong carrying a white woman, I hated that shit. But so he didn't get to go. He didn't go on tour for My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. His tour for My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was the Watch the Throne tour, right? But he went to every festival. So after the MTV Awards, he goes to Coachella. He goes to South by Southwest. Like he is at all of these. He's at all of these festivals and he's performing, and he's literally saying like, "This album saved my life." And it's funny because he said the same thing about College Dropout, right? Because he was laser focused because he knew that he had something to prove. He was like, "All right, I have to give the most hip hop, epic, over the top album as possible." And everyone, when they interviewed him, says that Kanye was like laser focused, that he was in a different kind of zone, and that he was like kind of like a maniac because he wasn't even sleeping. They said that like basically he would take power naps, that he would like start working at, like he would already be up in the day because he's eating breakfast, playing basketball, but like at 4 p.m. is when they went to the studio to start like recording and working. They wouldn't go to sleep till 4 a.m. and then Kanye was already back up by like 8. So he was only sleeping like in 4-hour intervals. And I just think like that's like something that really speaks to like what he was trying to do. Like he knew that, all right, cool. Like I've achieved all of this, and I kind of spit on America's Sweetheart. And well, back then there wasn't the term, but like he was canceled. Like nobody wanted to touch him. Yeah. Remember, Barack Obama called him a jackass. The president of the United States. And then you got to remember, like Kanye and him, they're from Chicago. So like I know like Kanye's vendetta with him is very like stupid and petty, right? But think about like somebody that you feel like is like can relate to you more than anyone in the world, right? They're the leader of the free world, and they call you an idiot. And Kanye is basically saying, "I'm just standing up for fucking Beyonce, who the woman who your wife like professes and loves and calls all the time to work on stuff for the country."
Yeah.
You know, in his mind, so he's like, "Yo, the fuck."
You know, and in hindsight, for you pointing that out, that may add to the whole why I kind of feel like Watch the Throne came and took attention away, because he already had these things going on, and he was already being, I guess, villainized.
You're not gonna let it go, and I'm gonna respect it.
I just feel like that. I feel like Watch the Throne came in, and a lot of people forgot about what was going on with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy at the time. Like
I'll say this: I've never heard criticism of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. No, I've absolutely heard criticism of Watch the Throne.
Okay, and that's where I think we're missing a point. It wasn't criticism of it. I think it was overlooked because Watch the Throne came out, and I feel like a lot of people
Dark Twisted Fantasy also sold more albums.
Okay, so then we're okay.
I'm just saying, like, you're saying that it's overlooked.
Well, I'm just trying to. Well, okay, so
classic off rip.
Well, okay, so I'll say this. So My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was automatically praised when it came out, right? Mm-hmm. Not a year later. In August,
it wasn't even a full year.
2011.
It wasn't even a full year.
Not even a full year. 2011. But while My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, while he was promoting that, he was on this stream of consciousness of like and creativity. Where I remember him tweeting about like, "Oh, me and Hov dropping something soon. It's an EP. It's called Watch the Throne." Like he just tweeted that out, all in the midst of still promoting this. But the focus never wavered from this because he had Good Fridays propelling this too.
I guess yes, big. And that's also, well, to go back to what I said before about how we in live just dealing with hip hop albums at the time is one of the most, inclusive ways at the time to make us all feel a part of it. I kind of felt like once Watch the Throne came, then we got the whole everybody talking about Watch the Throne being everywhere.
Yeah. Because you had. I guess you're probably
also,
saying
also
that because Watch the Throne had a tour.
Look at the time. Yeah, I was gonna say. And now I'm realizing that look at the time we're at. Look at the time we used to have to let albums breathe and relax. It's also a time where streaming's not a thing like that. We're still in the internet blog era where things are just being put front. So I guess that's a big thing for me is understanding that that's a change of guard at that time for the way music is digested. And it's because that came so quickly. We're used to hearing albums at that time and being let albums ride for like a year or two. Artists used to tour albums for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So I think I don't
get how that correlates with your point that it was overlooked.
With 2000, no. I guess I'm coming to the realization it was just the changing of times and things being processed quicker because that's how things were being created and that's where technology was going.
Okay.
Because at the time, I feel like 2008, I was still in that mentality that albums need time to breathe.
This was 2010.
This was 2010. I thought 28 was.
No, 2008 was the previous album that we did. This album came out in 2010, and Regg.
And I want to talk about the Grammys.
Well, that's still post the fucking internet era coming into play.
So I want to talk about the Grammys, right? So with this project, it was because of the time that it was released, it couldn't have been in the 2010 Grammys nominations, right? But I think that was a total overlook, right? Because he definitely should have won Album of the Year that year in 2010, right? So then they put him in the 2011 Grammys, and they wound up screwing him again because he's up against Adele, who had 21, right?
Yeah.
So it was just like there was. I don't give a fuck if. I don't think Michael Jackson's Thriller could have beat Adele's 21 at the Grammys for Album of the Year, right? So then he loses out again, but they give him, Best Rap Album and everything like that, and that's kind of like what he beefs about.
Yeah,
is that like they just like the Best Rap Album is like the Nigga Hair Award, right? So for me, my thing is like,
yeah, but I don't necessarily agree with that concept either. Like, it's a rap out. It's a hip hop album.
It is a hip hop album, but what I'm saying is that whenever like it comes to Album of the Year, because there's so many people in the music industry that don't feel like rap music is real music. Like I'll give you a prime example. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for this, where I work at, there is a prominent person in the music industry at my building that I work at, right? I'm a doorman. Him and his wife do not think that rap music is real music till this day, right? Like they don't like, you know, and sometimes like we'll have conversations about music, and I purposely don't even bring up hip hop because like I get annoyed and I don't want to like call them fucking crackers, so I just avoid it and I talk to them about something else. Like we both love Tame Impala, so we talk about Tame Impala, we talk about other genres, and these are people who have Grammy votes. And they don't think that hip hop is a real genre.
Yeah.
So what I'm just saying is that like that right there tells me that hip hop don't even get a chance. Like the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill winning Album of the Year, Speaker Box of Love Below winning Album of the Year. They had like think about how far left they had to go to win it.
Yeah.
Think about how like so what I'm just saying is
it had to be
how far left from rap it had to be. And experimental in a sense with it, like it had to sound like something else besides rap music.
Yeah.
So this project to me is the greatest album. I'll say one of the greatest albums, but it's the greatest rap album. It's the greatest rap album of the past 20 years.
Yep.
Right? And one of the greatest albums of the past 20 years. This is our generation's fucking Thriller. I'm not going to jump out the window and say it's better than Thriller because Thriller is Michael Jordan and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is LeBron James.
For me, with this, why that argument can be made is just the children and everything that stems from it and what became of our the growth in our culture.
Okay, so I don't want to just throw words around. I want you guys to actually tell me why you're saying these things because Thriller is getting thrown around.
I think
Danny, I'm gonna give you a second
to
think about what you had to say, right? I'm gonna go first because I know exactly what I'm saying, and I'm not saying that you don't know what you're saying. I want Danny to think.
So I just want to position the question.
All right, ask me.
What makes you bring that comparison? Why
Thriller?
is it compared to Thriller? Yeah.
Well, for one, I didn't say that it's better than Thriller.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
I said it's our generation's Thriller, and I'm gonna tell you why. The anticipation, the rollout, the controversy, the music videos, the emotions that this album brought out of us, and the fact that when obviously we weren't born when Thriller dropped, right? But whenever I talk to people about Thriller and when I talk to people about when they first heard Thriller, where they were when they first heard Thriller, and when I talk to people about when they first heard A Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, it feels the same. Because like it was like an event for both of these projects, right? And then I'll also say this. The one up that I'll say that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy has over Thriller is that Thriller wasn't an instant hit. The Thriller video came out, and then it became this big monster. Like obviously he's Michael Jackson, so like he sells 1 million records like it's nothing. But like it became like this big monster, and like that's why it competed like with the Eagles to this day. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. From the day this album came out and like the anticipation, like people were saying like this is the best thing since sliced bread. That's the one up that I say that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy has on Thriller. People had to like go back and like understand like, all right, we see the video and we see everything that's going on, and yeah, we love this album. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Michael Jackson has changed the music, but that was because of his Thriller video. The Thriller video did more for that album. Even though the funny thing is that like as time goes on, that many people don't even enjoy the song Thriller. It's the video that adds to it.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's what happens with any major single for an album. Like any major single for an album, it kind of people get the album and they don't listen to the single.
But what I'm saying is that see now I feel like I am arguing against the album. I was trying not to.
Wait.
Let me finish. My point to you is that the hysteria for that album didn't come until that video dropped. Okay. It wasn't because everybody was saying, you got to hit Thriller. It was like, you got to see Thriller.
Yeah, it was a whole experience.
It was an experience, right? So what I'm saying is that what Kanye West did with Runaway, like mind you, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't even started going track by track yet. This is how deep we getting into it. Eli, I'm sorry, I know your arms is tired, baby. We working. This is Eli's camera right here, and I'm fucking ready. Yeah. So with that being said, I just want to make it clear. I'm not saying that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is better than Thriller. I'm saying that it is our Thriller. Right?
I can agree with.
And now I want to give the floor to Danny.
There's multiple reasons for that, and that is probably a better definition of what it is. The reason also is because there's so many career-defining moments for people on this album. I think it's also, especially with Nicki and what Nicki becomes, I think everybody finally recognized who Ross is with Devil in a New Dress. I felt like this is something that people who had been paying attention to Ross already knew was there, but people didn't accept until Kanye gave that cosign.
This was also just a huge year for Ross. This was Teflon Don for Ross.
Yeah. And we have Raekwon on there, a person that we haven't heard at this fucking peak of himself and just sounding excited in hip hop in so long. We've gotten him bodying verses for a while because Raekwon will pop up every here and there. But Raekwon didn't sound this excited for an album in how long?
Yeah.
I mean, well, he was pretty monotone on the song. He didn't sound excited, but he sounded inspired.
Rather inspired, but the way he would speak about these sessions, about being with this and doing this for Kanye.
Kanye gave him a whole beat tape, gave him a lot of shit.
Yeah, put him on a song with Justin
got the
Bieber.
Commercial acceptance of Pusha as a solo artist too.
So hold on one second.
Wait. Before you go there, we had the commercial acceptance of Pusha as a solo artist. Runaway.
That's
Runaway
true.
was Pusha's stand out.
That's true.
Being presented as I'm the good music dude.
I want to put that on hold because obviously we want to go track by track, right?
Okay.
Let's talk about how the fact that Kanye West thought to put together the RZA and Justin Bieber. Mm-hmm. Even though Justin Bieber has never really listened to Wu-Tang, he had admitted it, right? But the fact that he was able to put that, think about pop culturally, because most girls say that they love Wu-Tang, but they can only tell you who the fuck Method Man is in Old Dirty Bastard, right? Yeah. So the fact that he was able to pair those two together and it be such a fucking magical song. Mm-hmm. Magical, Justin Bieber and his angelic white Canadian voice. When that fucking production was great, right? So I just thought that him doing that for Good Fridays, even though the Biebs wasn't very well versed in Wu-Tang, I thought was pretty fucking brilliant.
Yeah. It was just, I think it was another creative spark for Kanye to do that, and I think it was another homage to Wu-Tang because of the beat that he used.
His love letter.
Yeah, so it was, but you wanted to go track for track, or you want to just touch on some of the highlights of this album?
The good thing is that track for track is not that long, right? Because let's see, we had the Good Friday songs. You want me to list off the Good Friday songs or no?
Yeah. Talk about them.
All right, so we got the Power remix with Hove and Swiss Beats and John Legend, right?
He smoked Hove on that.
He sure did. Then we got Monster early.
Yeah.
We got Monster. Think about that. We got Monster that early.
We gotta understand what Monster.
I think that's when ears perked up and people started paying attention to Good Fridays.
That's why I said, but perked up. But this is what I say: career-defining moments. This is Nicki Minaj's really oh no, she's not
Hold
for
off,
play.
Danny. I want to list these off, and then we're going to get into the track listing. Runaway Love with Justin Bieber featuring Kanye West and Raekwon. Then we got the first version of Devil in a New Dress. Then we got Good Friday with Common, Pusha T, Kid Cudi, Big Sean, and Charlie Wilson.
That's my
Then we got Lord, 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 right? Mm-hmm. Then we got So Appalled. One thing I want to say about So Appalled literally got Saha the Prince his deal because when Beyonce heard it, she told him, "You need to sign this boy."
Yeah,
bro.
Shout out to that, right?
That line is crazy. If God had an iPod, I'd be on his playlist.
Right. Next, Christian Dior Denim Flow. And then we found out that Kanye West was proclaiming that Lloyd Banks was the greatest rapper of all time.
Oh yeah, and he gave him a lot of shine with this run.
And I'm gonna give Eli credit on this because Eli had saw that what 50 Cent tweeted, and he said, "Oh man, this nigga Lloyd Banks running around the studio talking about good music." And Eli told me that at work, and I always thought that was funny. Then next we had Don't Stop, and that was the debut of Child Rebel Soldier, CRS.
CRS.
Take One for the Team with Carrie Hilson, Pusha T, and Sahara Prince. That's a forgettable song, and I'm glad we didn't get that one. Take One for the Team, right? Don't Look Down, featuring Mos Def, Lupe Fiasco, and Big Sean. Then we got The Joy, right? And this is the original version of The Joy with Curtis Mayfield, Charlie Wilson, Pete Rock, and Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
And then we got Looking for Trouble, and that was featuring J. Cole, and that was on the Friday Nights
verse,
and that was on the Friday Night Lights mixtape.
Yo, yeah. Can we talk about that J. Cole verse? Wow.
Yeah.
Because that was Cole was already a favorite in person. He wasn't on that many people's radar. It was post the Friday Night Lights. The warm up. And it was right before Friday Night Lights. And Cole came in and put his foot in that song's ass.
Yeah.
And Cole, you guys know me, I'm not the biggest Cole fan, but when he features, and he bodied that shit. And that was when I was like, all right, Cole should be something then. I was disappointed.
Okay.
And it just speaks to, but that also still speaks to the greatness of Kanye in this era, because it was all a lead-in for Cole to do what he did. Mm-hmm. Like, even the production around it, the beat dropping at the end the way that it did.
It's being the new star on Rockefeller too.
Yeah, it's all of that shit. Yeah. Like he gave him
Rock Nation,
he gave him that leeway to do what he did, and he didn't ask Cole till like the very last minute for him to do that shit. I think like he did that shit like day of or some shit.
Cole had like 3 other really prominent features that year. I feel like that was not before Looking for Trouble. He had the Mos Def and the Black Star feature.
Reflection Eternal.
That year he was just bodying features to begin with, and people didn't catch that then. Like that was his real first year of bodying features.
Okay. Next song that we had was Chain Heavy, which was produced by Q-Tip.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
It featured Consequence and Talib Kweli. And then we capped things off with Christmas in Harlem, which featured Cameron, Jim Jones, Vado, Sahara Prince, Pusha T, Music Soul Child, and Tiana Taylor. Oh, and Big Sean. I am sorry. Mm-hmm. So that's how we like capped it off, and that was like the final Good Friday song from the My Beautiful Dark Twisted.
And it wasn't like a formal announcement that it's the last. It was just the last. Yeah, like I remember checking like weeks after that. Like, yo, is there another one?
I remember. So this is a lot of times where this is where I connect us starting Rap in Order. Is us first meeting around these times of us having wings over. I feel like fucking Good Fridays was the beginning of it, like where I first met y'all, and that's where we started having these conversations, is comparing these songs. Like I really feel like that's the beginning of our friendship. So I also add another layer of why I fucking love this album so much, is because I feel like this is where we started all this.
Yeah.
For me, it started. For me, it I could see that, and I understand that. It's funny because obviously I like met James first, DJ James E, and so like me and James will have this conversation, and then Eli came to work with us. So then Eli was third, and then we met Felix, and then when we met Felix, we met you, but you were a dick. You didn't really want to be our friend at that time. So we really didn't, like, I really, like, kept my distance from you at that time. And then I met Regg, who was also kind of mean to me, but then he warmed up to me. And then we started getting, then Danny cut his hair. When Danny had long hair, he was a fucking asshole. That's what it was. It was the long hair. I swear to you, I'm not making this up. Danny had long hair and he was a fucking dick. He's like Puerto Rican Jim Morrison. So
it's luxurious though.
Yeah, so like that's what happened, right? But yeah, so like that's kind of like how it began. I started working at Levi's. I don't remember fucking year. I met James, and then I met Eli, and then and Felix came around, and then we got Regg. And shout out to some of the other guys, Christian Garcia, our boy Jamil.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Christian Torres. Definitely Christian Torres. Love Christian Torres. Yeah, like we were. Oh, you know what? Shout out to Ariel.
Ariel, yeah.
remember our manager Ariel?
Yeah,
Shout out to Ariel. Ariel is absolutely a de facto member of the crew. So yeah, like we would sit in Stockholm and talk about hip hop, but that was a good reference. But do you want to start getting into these tracks, right?
Yes, indeed, man. This album kicks off with Dark Fantasy. It's produced by RZA, No ID. It got some production credit on there, Mike Dean, and of course Kanye himself. Beautiful production. You got some lead off vocals from Miss Nicki Minaj. She kicks this off.
We were warned about this before it happened. Like, everybody was like, nah. The intro is Nicki.
Yeah.
All we knew is she's doing her British voice, and everybody was like, oh.
Yeah, that was like a
we
thing
didn't know
for
it was
her
a
back then.
verse, or we didn't know what it was, but the hype was, Nicki bodies
her album,
the intro. That's all we knew.
Didn't her debut album come out this same year?
It might have. The Pink Print?
Mm-hmm. No, not the Pink Print. Pink Friday.
Pink Friday. You might be right.
I think Pink Friday came out this same year. Yes, it did. It came out the same day. Pink Friday came out the same day.
This was big. Like I said, this was the coming out part. Like, a lot of people, like, really... Monster, when we heard Monster, like, Nicki was already Nicki. We had Itty Bitty Piggy Freestyle. We already knew who Nicki was in New York. But I kind of feel like for the rest of the world, this was when Nicki came out for this and for Monster, it was like, all right, this is the HBIC for hip hop right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
absolutely, there was no
spot and nah.
There was no arguing that. But what Kanye did on Dark Fantasy was special, man. His rapping, I never heard him rap to this level up until this point. Like, before, I always liked Kanye as a rapper, but I didn't really praise him as, like, being this, like, you know, like, top 5 MC. But, like, on this, like, he sounds so polished. Like, he sounds great on this song.
The confidence from the RZA and just being around Pete Rock and DJ. I think the energy, I really give credit to being around Pete Rock, Premier, and RZA. To give him that confidence, because they were really, really, really giving him a lot of praise, and he earned their respect tremendously while recording this project. So I really give credit to them, like, more than anyone. And he already, like, felt like he could keep up with Jay. Like, I think once he realized that he could keep up with Jay or be just as witty as clever as Jay, I think that told him everything that he needed to know and impress Jay. And that just gave him supreme confidence. And
from what you said that right there, there's one line that I feel sums that up exactly what you said. You ain't got no fucking Yeezy in your Serato. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt like that, like, when he said that was that moment, exactly what you just said, that I could hold my own. And that's the same impression I got when he dropped. I was like, oh, he wants this. Like, that was the moment of the song. I'm like, oh no, Yeezy's Ye is going for this.
That's how he felt. Like, I definitely felt that way. Just so from the opening of the song, Nicki Minaj in her British accent, Nicki Minaj reciting that poem, Kanye coming on there, and it just sounds like he's just in a car and he's just going. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was dope. But what do you think? You want to get into the next song?
Gorgeous features Kid Cudi and Raekwon. We kind of got a little preview of this when he hit High 97, like I said earlier, because he spit this verse. He spit one of the verses from Gorgeous on there, which was great. I couldn't
believe that he did that.
With Pusha. They was hot. They was on some X or something. Like, if you watch that shit, they were both zooted. They was gone. Like, they just kept giggling and shit. It was so weird. Mm-hmm. But all the more, this is a great song. It was always a little off-putting to me how his vocals sound on this song. But I'm sure it was probably on purpose. Kanye, his, like, when he's rapping, it sounds like he's, like, kind of far away.
He sounds like he's muffled almost.
Yeah, it sounds like he's on a phone.
I think he did that. I forgot what microphone it said that he's used, but I think that was for, like, effect reasons on purpose. Mm-hmm. But what I think about was dope is on this album is how he leaned on Cudi so much, because he said that he would just give, like, he would be like, yo, Cudi, whatever hooks you can give me, like, here's the beats, and, like, Cudi would just come back to him. Like, so, like, obviously Cudi is not, like, a super athletic dude, and, like, you know, so he wouldn't, like, really press him about working out whenever they would have their sessions after breakfast. So, like, Cudi would go and, like, meditate and then go in the studio and, like, craft up these songs. So I thought that was, like, a really dope thing that, like, they highlighted. Like, when the RZA he did one of his interviews, he was like, yeah, Cudi would go and meditate, I would go lift weights. Yeah. Like, everybody, like, he's decent with, like, everybody would do, and he was like, yeah, you know, Kanye would kind of go out there and, like, play basketball with, like, Saha at the YMCA and shit like that. I just thought that was really dope, that, like, and when you hear Cudi on the hook, you definitely feel like, yeah, he definitely was sitting down Indian style, coming up with this hook.
feel like also at this time, Cudi was more acceptable to people because I feel like when Cudi first came around, people weren't that into him, especially when then the 808s and Heartbreaks came around. A lot of people weren't that receptive to Ye at the time.
It was a different sound.
Change.
Yeah.
And I feel
so
like
different.
at this point, this is when we all understood the direction kind of already and embraced Cudi more because he had already had his singles.
Yeah.
He'd already been growing into
2008
his
was
star.
big for Cudi.
This is same year as How to Make It in America too, right?
2010, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think this is the same time. This is where he's becoming more of a household name. And at times I feel like I feel this album also opened people up to what 808 and Heartbreaks was. I feel a lot of people were closed off until they understood.
Same year, yeah.
Yeah, February, right?
Yeah, the greatness of this album, I feel, made people go back because I remember a lot of people did not like 808 and Heartbreaks originally, and then rehearing it after this, they were like, no, this is it, especially coming down the pipeline and everything that gets introduced from 2010 on.
Yeah.
It makes it easier to digest and understand what Cudi meant for this soundscape. And let's be honest, from this on and for that 3 years prior, Cudi is why a lot of people sounded the way they did, and a lot of people came in the way they did, and why we respected a lot of people in the downtown shops in New York. You got to understand that was a time of going to parties at fucking the rooftop of A-Life, going to Supreme parties, being just around and shit. And it was a different lifestyle back then when you just first saw ASAP Mob, just the stickers everywhere, and the LES. Like, it was a lifestyle back then.
What did we think of? So Power is the next song on this album. And it was the lead single for this album. It was the first taste of what would be on this album. So like we had everything leading up to it with Good Fridays, but I specifically remember hearing this song for the first time on. You guys remember NicoleBitchie.com?
Yeah, of course I remember.
Yeah. I heard this on Nicole Bitchie, and I was like, oh shit! Like, it was the SNL thing that stood out to me. The beat, the like how fucking eventful and how big it was. It reminded me of like Gladiator.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
So this song was influenced by his time in Rome. From the way he shot the video to being kind of like a moving art, and even like the imagery in that, and like even what he chose to like talk about lyrically, right? Because he also had, I don't know why, but I guess he was like he watched Malcolm X, and there's a prominent scene in that movie and in his book where Malcolm X has all of the Nation of Islam like in his like full control. Like when he says walk, they walk. Whenever he says stop, they stop. And the chief of police just yelled out, "No one man should have all that power." And I'm pretty sure he probably didn't say it. He probably said no nigga should have all that power. But who knows, right? So Kanye saw that and like he really just wanted to really culminate that. And then also lyrically, Kanye has gone on in interviews to say like this was kind of like his backhanded apology, where like he's acknowledging his mortality, but he's also letting you know like, yo, I have the world in the palm of my hand right now. Like, y'all are eating out of my hand. Everything that I do, y'all want to know what I do. Like, y'all know y'all want to know. Y'all know y'all want to find out what's going on, what I'm eating, what I'm wearing, who I'm fucking, where I live. Everything that I do, you guys want to know. Anything that I want to say, anything that I want to say is dope that I like, you guys want to know. Like I am must see TV. You need me. And it was kind of like him just acknowledging that and him kind of like embracing it. Even with John Legend singing on the hook was just amazing to me.
On Power?
Yeah.
That's Dwelle.
John Legend has vocals on there too, I believe.
No, that's Dwelle.
I'm sorry. So then that's just the remix that John Legend's on?
John Legend's on a remix? No,
I think he has vocals on it.
Yeah, he is, yeah. John Legend's on a remix.
I know on the right.
There's a Power remix.
No, he's on the remix. Okay, no, you're probably right. So I'm probably wrong. I'm thinking about John Legend being on the remix.
Okay.
And Dwelle is on the original version.
Yeah.
Dwelle is also a person who doesn't get enough respect, but that's for a later conversation. Dwelle is everywhere. Everywhere.
He has a lot of great work with Kanye too.
Yeah.
He's from he's great Detroit artist. Shout out to him.
But also I want to say though, as much shit as I give Kanye and as much shit as you guys have heard me talk shit on this, Power is the definitive Kanye I love. in every way of understanding who he is and the confidence and just owning his shit. And I know is for all the shit I give him shit for that may not make sense, but Power is such a song to me that is so from the visuals. The visuals is what always just first comes to mind.
Yeah.
That shit is so fucking amazing for the time and everything he did. He did nothing groundbreaking for necessarily art, but for what it was music-wise and hip-hop-wise, he's breaking doors in us understanding visuals and changing it up.
And why it's so important. Yeah.
And I feel like Kanye had always been that person where visuals weren't important. Mm-hmm. And this just continues it, but this Power specifically took it to the next level.
That's why he always wanted that recognition for it. But it kind of, and it leads into the All of the Lights interlude, which is just the prelude to All of the Lights.
So can we talk about how legendary? So me and Danny about to say the same thing. Yo, first of all, the fact that like he was calling, like he said, "Yo, John, I just want you to play piano," right? So Elton John comes in and plays piano, right? Then he gets over 30 artists to just basically layer up their vocals on this song, and they said okay. Yeah. I don't think there's no way in hell that he told everybody there's no way that he told a pregnant ass Alicia Keys that her vocals weren't going to be the main feature on this song. I guarantee you that he lied to them. He literally had these artists in there like it was like We Are the World.
But I can hear Alicia Keys on this.
Yes,
of course we can. We can hear Alicia.
Vocals for the OO. I feel like are her.
Yeah, that is.
We can hear Alicia Keys. We can hear Rihanna. We can hear Fergie. I'm just saying the fact that he got over 30
Fergie
people,
fucking raps on it.
Yeah, I'm just saying like it's crazy. Kanye West got over 30 artists to get on this one song. This song didn't save Africa. This song didn't fucking get water and fucking clean water in Michigan. This water didn't like fucking help people with anything.
This is as close as it gets to We Are the World for him.
Yes. Like I'm just saying like this song didn't save anybody's life. Who else has
gotten closer to We Are the World besides this?
Nobody. No, you could think. No, yeah.
They made attempts at We Are the World and shit like that.
What song comes closer to it than this?
You talking about success wise? We're talking about songs that have been making it. Yeah. They've made different variations of We Are the World.
So all right, another thing. I've known this for a long time, but I just like a lot of our listeners might not know. Originally, this song was called Ghetto University, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Drake is featured on it. Mm-hmm. Rick Ross originally put a verse on it, and then Kanye liked his verse so much he said, "I want your verse."
It's on one of the Young Sweet Jones mixtapes.
I don't think. Well, listeners, I know Danny heard. Listen, I don't think y'all heard me. Kanye said to Rick Ross, "I like this shit." So if you ever listen to the lyrics and you hear it, it has nothing to do with Kanye West. And if you rap it like Rick Ross, it'd absolutely sound like a Ross verse. Rap it to yourself like Rick Ross.
Yeah, what you call it?
MJ Gold. Yeah, I can hear it now. Yeah. That's a Ross version I have.
But I like that shit. I'm about to lose my thought.
That weed.
Nah, I didn't smoke. I don't smoke.
This time.
Lied ass.
Shit.
Like that,
what the hell was my thought? Wayne talked about Kanye's rapping style and he used this song as an example because he was saying that he kind of is envious of the fact that Kanye can do that, where he can rap from a perspective that you know is not related to him. Mm-hmm. And Wayne said that he doesn't know how to do that. Like, he can't do that. And he referenced All of the Lights because from what he's talking about, this is not from a Kanye perspective.
Kanye didn't have a baby mother at the time.
Yeah.
Kanye did not have any law trouble at the time.
Yeah.
It's just something. But we also give a lot of passes in that throughout history. We've also heard Nas that you scribbled it from your notepad, you witnessed from your folks' pad.
Well, no, yeah, we do.
That was
Nas has been also self-admitted. So is people like many rappers have been said that, oh, I'm not rapping what I did, I'm rapping what I saw. Mm-hmm. And this has been something throughout history of hip hop.
Yeah. What's the next range?
So what I saw you guys had on All of the Lights, I mean, this song is...
it's amazing. Like I said, it's one of the greatest songs of all time. It has over 30 artists on it. It's the We Are the World that didn't save any nation.
Look, you got a song with fucking Elton John. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like that's next level shit that whatever genre you're in, not many people could say. That is the, like, god of pop rock.
Yeah.
When you really get down to it.
Yeah, I feel like Regg just wants to give this song more head. I mean, it's great. It's an amazing song.
Cool. I'm just making sure I'm just trying
to
So Monster, we talked about earlier, right? Monster features Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Nicki Minaj, and Bon Iver. Big song. It was already big when it came out on Good Friday, but I think the album version even took it to another level, if you can imagine that.
Absolutely.
It had more ad-libs, more attention to the detail on this. Nicki's verse had more layers, and she talked about this too, where in an interview I think she did with Rob Markman. Shout out to Rob Markman. She said something like, yo, like the version that he really wanted, I didn't like because he kind of double layered. He did so many stacks on my vocals, and he had like these monster sounds like in the back while she was rapping, and she said she didn't like that. But he was like, yo, just trust me, like it's gonna go. And of course, like it did, and that whole like animated thing became Nicki for like the next 5-6 years. After that.
She pivoted on that so well and made that such a remarkable point of her brand because
she became like a caricature of this verse though.
Yeah, but it wasn't, here's the thing, it wasn't, Nicki could already do this. This is just capitalizing up for the masses to understand what Nicki could do. And I feel like this is what I think a lot of the masses that didn't understand the itty bitty Piggy freestyles, that hadn't heard her on the Wayne mixtapes prior, that had only heard her commercial shit, this was their, oh no, she spits that shit too. And I feel like this, yes, it became a caricature of who she is, but I don't think that's a bad thing because I think Nicki should own it and have been able to pop into that pocket whenever she wanted.
But no, she did, but it became a bad thing. It was a bad thing because, and I think she realized it when that High 97 incident.
I think she overdid it, is what it is. That's
how it became a bad thing.
That's how it became a bad thing. But I think she could have. I don't think this song made it a bad thing. I think what she did with it from there.
No, this song. That's what I said though. This song. It was after this song that it became a thing. Like she took this because this was so successful, and I can't blame her.
It's polarizing.
Yeah, it was so successful that she took it somewhere. She took it to another stratosphere. Like she started like,
Remember how like she like really took like that Roman character really over the top and at that award show.
Yeah,
she did like that whole thing where she was playing multiple like personalities and shit like that.
Did we also skip over the fact that the person that Roman's named after is a fucking on record repeated statutory raper, Roman Polanski, that had to leave the United States?
And I think once reports started coming out about that, she kind of just dropped it.
And she kind of dropped it, but that's what she kept going with for a long time. Even while the midst of that investigation, she was keeping this character.
Well, I mean, that investigation, like it's not an investigation. He fled the country.
Yeah,
like Roman Polanski, like he got charged back in the 70s.
One thing that Rick Ross knows why he's on this song, though. To be honest,
Rick, Kanye Kanye had an interview. He sets a tone. So for me, the one thing that I can say about this project, right, is that it definitely catapulted the careers of Rick Ross and Nicki Minaj. Yes. It definitely put them in rare air. And you remember at this time, Diddy was trying to, for some reason, he was hell-bent on managing the both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he was hell-bent on managing Ross, and he was hell-bent on managing Nicki. Nicki played him, and he didn't wind up managing Nicki. And Ross kind of him and Ross were around each other in a groove at that time, and that's how we got Teflon Don as well. And I think he kind of helped Ross as far as what to wear and the energy that he needed to have as far as to be to further his persona that he was already creating as the biggest boss, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ross has already said he brings Diddy around every time he's ready to drop an album. He just wants to hear Diddy's information.
Right.
View.
So
I mean, most artists do.
I just think that. And then I'll also say this, right? Saha the Prince hasn't had crazy success, but this album did wonders for his career as well because now he's in the music industry. So I'm not, and No Church on Sundays, his project that came out was critically acclaimed. Mm-hmm. So I'm not gonna say that it did the same thing for it did what it did for Rick Ross that it did for it did that. I'm not gonna say that this album did for Saha the Prince what it did for Rick Ross and Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
But this album absolutely did, wonders. It did amazing things for the both of them, right?
I mean, people forget this year after this drop, Sci-Hi had an underground album that dropped that he got critical praise for, called Jack of All Trades, and it's literally each song is him doing a different career, and that's why he's a jack of all trades. And there was a significant look at that just because of this song where people would have not paid attention to him at all, and he got one of the top highest reviews of underground albums that year for that project.
So, and that's what I mean, and all in all, that's what a Kanye assist does, right? I mean, Kanye's been really good at that from the very beginning of his career, of like seeing who's popping at the time and putting them on his album. Mm-hmm. Like if you just want a timeline of how rap has been since 2004 when he debuted, you can just look at all his albums and see who was pop, and you can spot who was popping at the time on each album.
It's kind of the blueprint Drake took.
All right, so the other day, me and this girl was getting into the mood, and she told me, I need to, trim the yard.
Oh, damn.
And I don't, do you have any recommendations?
You know what? Funny you say that, because I got in a similar situation. I had to do some digging. I found some shit, bro. I got to put you on.
Please do.
It's called Manscaped, and Manscaped gave us a code that I want you to use. You can get 20% off, bro.
Get out of here.
And y'all too. Rap in order 20. You use that. You go to manscaped.com. Get 20% off your order.
Wow, she is going to be so happy.
And, she won't have no hair on her teeth.
And your balls will thank you.
After Monster, of course, we have another track that was a Good Friday feature, which is So Appalled. So Appalled is features Swizz Beatz, Jay-Z, Pusha T, Saha, and RZA.
This was one of those songs that everybody really got hyped. Like, everybody got hyped for, the Friday things. But when you heard you had Jay-Z on a track with all these dudes, and Jay, at the time, he just came through with that fucking beautifully timed Batman reference in his verse. Like, it just added to it with the Dark Knight feeling, die or be the hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Mm-hmm. And then, yes, we had the Sci-Hi coming out with I am so outrageous. If God had an iPod, I'd be on his playlist. Mm-hmm. Like, just them coming off of that, because my biggest thing, what was most amazing for me as just a hip-hop fan, is we got fucking Jay-Z on a RZA production. Mm-hmm. When in your fucking life did you ever think you would really hear Jay over RZA, the Abbott? Like, and I know a lot of us are reigniting our love with Wu-Tang because of the show and everything, but not dead ass.
Correction though, RZA didn't produce this.
But RZA was part of the production process on it, no?
No. This was all Kanye, No ID, and Swizz Beatz.
Then I'm shutting up, but it
he's
sounded
on the
amazing.
Track with RZA.
The fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, he's on the track with him. It was a great song. This song was great. Back then I didn't like it as much, honestly.
I know. I feel like we've had this conversation before, and you've come to like it now.
Much. I do like it now. The production I always loved. But back then, it just wasn't. Even when it dropped as a Lucy for Good Friday, I was like, all right,
I think whose verse has actually grown on me throughout the years. Actually, Pusha's.
You didn't like Pusha's verse?
No. It was just so outshined by the Jay and the Sci-Hi verse. That
Jay's verse is hard.
When Jay's verse is no. Jay's verse upset. For when it came, yeah. That shit, the Dark Knight tie-in is because at the time, and I for one, and I'm on record and I still do, bash Jay-Z when he does shit that I don't agree with, and he was getting a lot of bashing at the time because a lot of his shit was mid at the time.
Like what? What was mid?
That was right after either Blueprint 3 or whatever mid album.
Yeah, Blueprint 3 was 2009.
Yeah, and then that shit was not it in any way, shape, or form. And I think
he has some moments on there.
He
got his first number one song on that album.
Look. Jay-Z has never not had moments on any album. Even an album I don't like, Jay-Z has moments on. But let's be honest, that's one of his weaker presentings for an album, period.
Yeah, no, it is.
And as a Jay fan, him approaching this track like that, I was like, oh, we got to reinvigorate Jay back.
Yeah. No, he sounds great on this. Saha had his moment on this, of course, like you mentioned. I think he was set up to have that moment on this, which he did. He delivered. But we'll get into Devil in a New Dress. Features Rick Ross. It's produced by Bink and Mike Dean, who we've seen fight over who produced what on this song for years now.
Ross has the verse of the album.
Yeah, he does.
Yes.
A lot of people say that is Nicki Minaj's Monster verse. Nah, it's Rick Ross' Devil in a New Dress.
Well,
Yes.
I will say it's Nicki. It is definitely Nicki.
No.
Nicki has the verse on this
Nicki
album.
has a standout verse, but this is the come out verse for Ross that everybody is like, Ross is a different.
It's a come out verse for
level.
Nicki.
It's a come out verse for both of them, but I'm going to tell you right now that to me, Ross's verse is more prominent, and I'm gonna tell you why.
I like Ross's verse more.
Ross is, yeah, right. I think everybody does. I just think that Nicki's is memorable because, like, basically she's on a song with Kanye West and Jay-Z, and she kind of like makes them step into. It's like she could step into a world that they can't step into because basically she raps like a maniac, right? And they kind of. They did it, but it wasn't as believable with Nicki Minaj. We think that she's like a fucking psycho Queens bitch. So that's the thing. But Rick Ross, and this makes me think about when me and Rez were just going back and forth about the other night, right? So I was kind of like saying, like, I'm about to make my bid why this album is so great, right? And I sent Reg the video of Chris Rock saying that this is the greatest album of all time. Obviously, I think that there are other albums that are better that have come out in the lifetime of music. But I do think that this album is the greatest rap album of the past 20 years and is one of the top 5 greatest rap albums of the period, no genre of the past 20 years, right? So, with that being said, Rick Ross's verse on here is amazing, and then it also it culminates to Chris Rock. Like, obviously, he's a slave of the moment. When he was on Rick Ross's album, he said Rick Ross is the greatest rapper alive, this and that. But this is my argument to defend Chris Rock and what he's saying. Give me a whack Rick Ross verse, or tell me when Rick Ross doesn't deliver. Tell me when Rick Ross doesn't get on a track with a rapper and not hold his own. So I'm not saying that he's the greatest rapper alive, but what I'm saying is that he rises to the occasion every single time. And mind you, he got a late start.
Ross is one. He
didn't get pop until he was in his 30s.
Yeah,
like, he's a late bloomer. So I'm just saying,
Ross is an entity that came in an entity, maintained his entity and who he was. A lot of people didn't respect it at first, and then as he grew more in stature, in album quality, because he's somebody who came in, he delivered a quality product with Port of Miami, especially for the time we were all in. Every album he's gotten, except maybe his last one.
The way he rapped back then.
Yes, but every album except maybe his last one has shown growth, exponential growth in Ross as an artist, what he's willing to do, the way he's willing to rap, the way he's willing to challenge himself as a rapper. Rick Ross is one of the most underrated people, and I feel like this, exactly like Taurian said, this was the moment the world took him apart from, he's just that Port of Miami dude, and this was the year of Teflon Don, this was everything, and I feel like this was his coming out party. It's like, oh, you knew I was good. Now y'all gonna know I'm nice.
Yeah, no, this was a very important moment for Ross. I still think that Nicki has the highlight of this album.
I don't know.
But a lot of people will say that, but I guess just for me, just as a rap fan, and like more of like a rap purist, I just feel that Ross stole the show.
I love Ross's verse. I think Ross.
Yeah, the way everything, like, think. All right, let's move on from Ross. Let's talk about just the video. Period. Right. It's a Hype Williams video.
What video are you talking about?
Runaway.
Runaway.
Oh shit, I'm drunk, gal.
You're
We
drunk.
still on Devil in
Yeah,
New Dress. Sorry. Fuck it. My bad.
Ross has that. His verse has a video.
Yeah, he just shot a.
Driving around and
Yeah,
shit.
he just
Yeah.
shot a video
Man,
on
just
his own.
smooth as shit.
Very smooth.
Shout out to Off the Record Fern Beasy on the side, though.
Yeah, sorry guys, I had a moment. Yes. He had a video where he's just in the car, he's driving and he's rapping his verse, and I just think that that's amazing.
Also, I feel
Ross
like
had the best verse, man.
I feel like wasn't there like 2 or 3 versions of his verse at the time when it first dropped or something?
There was a couple versions. I remember when Kanye was still completing this album, and he tweeted about being in the house dancing to Ross's verse.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, I'm in my house, I'm dancing on marble floors to this Ross." It's amazing
because he had like a more dramatic entrance. He had like different dramatic entrances.
Your hand.
And it was very, very interesting to like hear like the different ways of what Kanye was doing. And think about it, this was before like streaming was like huge. Spotify was a thing at this time, but it wasn't huge yet. It wasn't like the way it is now. So Kanye was trying to like update the album as he went, but like there's people, and like this has happened like quite a few times in the past before streaming, like people will have different versions of an album.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's amazing though, if you really think about it, Ross needed this in the sense of Ross's albums post this is when he really got into his cinematic shit and creating whole worlds or sounding like he's a soundtrack to a movie. And that's always been the allure of fucking Ross, is that Ross can fucking talk about anything and just make it sound like, oh shit, we're watching a Scorsese flick and he's just talking shit in the background, dictating it.
It's scored, yeah. It's all scored like very well.
Yeah.
And that's what Ross does.
But I feel like this is the branch where we finally felt it, and because he'd also admitted the shit that came out, Teflon Don though too, was part of things he'd already been working with Kanye on in the past.
Yeah.
So I finally get more and more what I'm leaning as a person who felt this was Nicki's coming out party. As Taurian said it, I feel more and more not. This was where Ross became Ross.
I mean, I think it's both, but I just think for Nicki it was a bigger moment. That's all. And you can counter that to, oh, it's because Jay-Z it was because she's on a song with Jay-Z and she's on a song with Pusha T, and well, not Pusha T, but Jay-Z, Ross, and Kanye that it shines. Yeah. Even more reason.
I mean, Pusha T, this coming out party for him to speak for the next record.
Yeah. So
like,
let's say that. Let's get into the next song.
Well, word. So the next song is Runaway. Runaway features Pusha T. Runaway is 9 minutes long, but so much goes into that. It's the instrumentation. It's the break that you have at the end with just like the gibberish that kind of still makes up in this song. It's a beautiful record. Beautiful verse from Pusha. Great lead-in from Kanye.
This is one of the most toxic songs in the life of
I love that,
everybody.
and it has such a classic, iconic moment, right? Where he debuts it at the VMAs a year after the whole Taylor Swift gate.
That salmon suit that
Where he
Pusha came
wears-
out in, though.
Yeah, and Kanye has on the all red. He comes out on stage. Nobody knows what he's gonna do, but you just hear those keys, and he leads into the record. And I think the crowd didn't really know where he was going until the chorus, like "Toast for the Douchebags." Like it just felt like a moment coming off of the last year that he had, like kind of like it was like he was apologetic, but he wasn't, because it's like he's still celebrating himself.
Nah, because that first opening, one of those first lines is, all right, I did it. You could learn to live or leave with it.
Oh, you talking about Pusha?
Like, no, it's just overall, it's just that whole song, everything of it is the same.
Yeah.
It was the backhanded apology kind of thing from Kanye, though.
Yeah,
Is what
absolutely.
he was doing. Like, basically, like, Kanye knew, like, all right, cool. I ain't mean to hurt that white girl's feelings, but y'all not gonna tell me that Taylor Swift. I can't, somebody tell me right now the name of that fucking Taylor Swift video that beat out single ladies.
I don't know, but I automatically think it's a red flag when Taylor Swift is a girl's favorite artist.
I wouldn't go that far, but I feel you. But the point that I'm just making is that, yeah, like he's like, yo, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings and I took your moment. But think about Beyonce, who has over 100 videos and under her belt right now.
He would have did that to anybody. I don't think it was just her.
Yeah, I think if Hov would have won over Beyonce, he'd have won on the stage. He might have.
You gotta relax. I don't think if Hov won, he was jumping off of that stage.
Man enough, he would have been like, yo, Hov, you gotta get that to
I
your
think
girl.
on the side, he would have been like, yo, Hov,
you gotta get that to your girl. All I'm saying is that single ladies.
Izzo was great, but
yeah, single ladies at that time was such a polarizing song and polarizing video that if he didn't stand up for her, it would have been like, you wanna know what's funny? Imagine if he didn't rush the stage.
Yeah, we wouldn't have got this album.
We wouldn't have got this album, number one.
We wouldn't have got this album.
Number
We
two,
wouldn't have gotten a breakdown of everything in a lot of the fucking ways Grammys broken, or rather, for our generation to understand how Grammys is broken down.
Nah, we still would have got that. Because, I mean, like, artists will always get fed up and always boycott the Grammys somehow, some way, right? But what I'm saying is that it's the things that happen from it, like, I think, like, because of this shit, I know that there was a Beehive that existed prior to this, and I want to say the Beehive was birthed with the album that Single Ladies was on. Mm-hmm. But I really think that the Beehive really got out of pocket and really started getting crazy after Kanye rushed the stage. They was like, oh, so we could just wild out whenever we feel like our girl ain't getting her due. Like, I really feel like the Beehive is are clones of Kanye West rushing the stage. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me the lie.
What's funny
Tell me the lie that the Beehive is literally just a bunch of Kanye West.
Kanye West clone just running at a stage. I guess he was all throwing at it.
Tell me the lie. I went to Baychella. I saw it firsthand, bro. Like, they was out there for Beyonce. They was out there in the desert. They didn't give a fuck about those other artists. Like,
was Beyonce before the Navy? I thought the Navy was first, and Beyonce's just took it above and beyond the Beehive.
I don't fucking remember, but all I know is that
I think the Navy was first, and the Beehive
she was in battle. Rihanna was in Battleship.
Rihanna
was in Battleship. Yeah. All I'm saying is I don't know when the fuck the Rihanna Navy started or whatever like that, but I know that the Beehive is fucking strong. And I fear them.
Yeah.
Nah,
I fear the Beehive.
Yeah. As you should. But but okay, so we'll get into Hell of a Life.
Oh wait, one other thing before that. When Kanye and Pusha started working together, Kanye was one of the Pharrell has never even told Pusha to do his verse over. Kanye made Pusha do his verse over 9 times. Mm-hmm. Because he was like, yo, I need you to be more of an asshole, I need you to be more of a dick. You just told me you and a girl broke up. Like, imagine that. Like, Pusha looking at him like, what you just say to me? You just told me you and a girl broke up.
Pusha's talked about that moment too a lot of times, and how it's changed out how he raps.
Yeah, like,
be
a douchebag
and do this shit.
Yeah,
over, right?
He was like, yo, be it. Like, nah, you're not a douchebag. This is shit. What is this?
It's like, you don't. I don't believe it. You're a nice guy.
yeah. Like, imagine that. He's like, yo,
yeah.
You're too fucking nice for me right now. Tell me what you told me about that bitch in the car the other day. And
like,
Pusha's like,
fucking somebody else now.
Yeah.
How do you feel, really?
Yeah. But next song.
All right. Next song is Hell of a Life. Hell of a Life is, of course, it's produced by Kanye, and No ID and Mike Dean. Kanye is addicted to porn, right? He has a porn addiction. He talked about this.
Yeah, he talked about it.
He talked about this a lot.
Watching porn on fucking airplanes.
Yeah, he's talked about this a lot. I think it goes back to even, what's that, 2005, Late Registration. He has a song on there called Addiction.
Yeah.
And this is just an extension of that.
And just his use of porn stars in his rhymes, in his videos, in going out and showing up to events with porn stars.
Yeah.
He's kind of lived it.
I think that's also one of the elements of him becoming so religious now and repenting, because I think he felt guilty. But I also want to talk about how this is the song that is about Amber Rose. And them linking up and meeting each other because they met on the set. Well, no, like, it's confirmed. Like, he when he performed in Philly and he performed this song, he said that, thank you, Philadelphia, for making the person that this song is dedicated to. And they met on the set of his video for RoboCop for 808s and Heartbreaks. I think it like came out, but like only on KanyeWest.com or whatever like forum he had. I forgot what at that time.
Yeah, you could see it all.
Yeah, his blog.
On his blog, right?
I think and in retrospect, like, he didn't see Amber Rose as like an equal at all. She was just like
she was an object.
She was an object.
Yeah,
she was.
Yes, if we go into this really, like,
when she was with him, we never even heard her speak.
We never heard her speak, and then she's also been interviewed saying how he pretty much would like rip her a new one, telling her like, "You really gonna wear that? Do you know who you like? I'm Kanye West. You can't like go outside wearing that." And like how he would pretty much like verbally like beat her down, right? And the funny thing is that like Kim said it in like a more endearing way, where she said like Kanye has like he redid my entire wardrobe, he redid my closet, like he has like revamped everything, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think that was really interesting because it's like I guess he was nicer to Kim about it, than he was to Amber about it. But like I guess because of Amber and like her background being from Philly, I guess he kind of felt he didn't owe her that.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just also growth.
I think. Well, yeah, that's true too. I think it's both.
I don't think so. I don't think he gave a fuck about Amber. I think he felt like, bitch, you from Philadelphia, you was fucking
Like
stripping.
you've never
No,
lived
but
like this.
that doesn't mean that just because he didn't give a fuck doesn't mean that he didn't learn how to communicate better through his dealings with her. He could have not given a fuck.
Yes, but also no,
understood.
because we see how he's played out on social media, like throughout the
Yes,
years.
yeah.
He's gotten
He don't
even
respect
worse.
Amber, bro.
Yeah, he's gotten worse on social media.
I mean, especially them. I think it's obvious when you go into the next song too, because I feel like that song's kind of been like a big of how their relationships is left when you get to the Blame Game.
Yeah, so Blame Game features John Legend, and there's a lot of different interpretations of this song. A lot of people did think that
This song's toxic as
that it was
fuck.
about Amber Rose, who he was still with at the time. And a lot of people thought that was Amber Rose at the end. That's going like Easy told me that's actually not her voice.
I think that at this time they were probably on the rocks and going through it, and he was also like courting Kim at this time. But when Amber pointed out all of the facts on Everyday Struggle about why it's not her, she was like, I don't have an older brother. She said both of my brothers are like kids. They're still teenagers.
Yeah.
And then like she said like, yo, I never cheated on anybody I did. And I believe her. I'm not going to say that she's a liar. I just think that a lot of people in Kanye's camp wasn't feeling Amber. And it was a lot easier for Kanye to not to see Amber as somebody that he created or he made versus as seen as his equal. Like, so I think it was easier for him to like discard her like trash in that way. But I think that Kanye played up that people would think that the song was about Amber.
Oh, I agree.
And I think that he, like, his brilliance did that, and I think that he knew that he could play on that, and people ate it up. And people talk about it till this day. And the one thing that I'll say is that no one ever asks Kanye is Blame Game about Amber, but everybody asks Amber is Blame Game about her. And that tells me everything that I need to know what Kanye is controlling the narrative. And you know for a fact that he just knew what this song would do, and like it's amazing. Like John Legend sings his fucking heart out, and Kanye, I don't know if he got that Hennessy bottle back that he had to be amazing or not, but when I tell you that he rapped his ass off on this song and like painted a picture that I feel like all of us have felt at least a smidgen of it.
I feel like
he did it.
I feel like this is
for a lot of us.
I feel like this is a musical annexation of the moment you need to leave a relationship, if that makes sense. I feel like there's certain things he says.
Wait, I feel like if you wait till this point,
no,
where this song is at, and you realize maybe I should leave, you don't know how to take red flags.
I agree, but I feel like for a lot of people, this is an understanding of at that moment, like, oh shit, this shit we grew up on isn't necessarily mentally healthy. Like, I feel like a lot of us at the time also grew up on the Love Joneses, all these toxic relationships and this is kind of also a beginning of mental health being spoke about in our communities too with this, because I feel like Kanye came off crazy a lot of times and people started talking about mental health at this point, especially diving into relationships and the shit that came out of Amber Rose's mouth about it after, and the way he carried himself after. I think this is like, holy fuck, this is like a lot of people's, no, this shit's not healthy. And I feel like a lot of people carry this song as like, oh no, like, I love you, I hate you. Like, it reminds them of and nah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Like, the person this song reminds you of, stay the fuck away from.
Yeah, that's very true.
That also, as simple as that.
Chris Rock's outro is one of the most amazing outros I've ever heard on a rap album in my life to a song, because Chris Rock, for one, said that he was in the booth for like hours, and Kanye was just like feeding him things to say. He was just like, say this, say that. And when I tell you, like Chris Rock was just in there just blacking. Like Chris Rock was in there like levitating. I want to like kind of like take the approach.
This side of Pussy Town.
Yeah, I want to like he said like, did you get your pussy reposted? Like it was just great, and like I remember reading the review by Big Ghostface, And Big Ghostface's review of this album is amazing because like he basically was just like he was just describing everyone is turning into like one of the fucking dinosaurs from Power Rangers, just like blasting off, like flying to Mars and shit like that, coming back and just going into the booth in Hawaii.
You done went all porno on a nigga, okay?
Sidetrack, when Ghost used to rate shit's like, yo, this was 5 backflips into a backhand smack of a great album. That was great. Yo, shout out to Big Ghost, because those were great fucking reviews.
Nah, I enjoyed the fuck out of them, but yeah, like this, Chris Rock he just got in the booth and he just levitated. Like he just went to like another place. And I also think Chris Rock was going through his own divorce at the time. And Chris Rock was just like, yo, you know what?
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's just go. Let's fucking go. And he was just black and he was like, I needed to get to Hawaii, nigga. Like, I'm happy.
Rhea Paulson pussy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a classic fucking intro, man.
Never in the history of pussy, dumb.
Yeah.
Nah.
I never knew this part of your pussy before.
Wow.
Lost in the World follows that. Features Bon Iver.
Yep. It is the poem that he wrote that was dedicated
to Kim.
To Kim Kardashian, who is his. I'm gonna say one thing. They're getting divorced, but I actually absolutely think that they're just going to like date. Yeah. Like I think like they might see other people from time to time, but they're always going to like come back to each other because I feel that like they are like Kim is Kanye's one true love, and he sees her as like the woman that's like his twin flame. He just is just gonna like, you know, raise his children and just do right by her. He gave her 4 kids, and you know that's just the end of it. Because you could tell every time they see each other like that, they like are in love with one another.
Any person that comes around still got to deal with the fact that all 4 kids are his.
Yeah,
and yeah.
I think it, unless like she does like what her mom did, like and like meets like fucking LeBron, like
in Pusha's words, you could love or leave with it.
Yeah, like it's it. Like that's it, man. Like
yeah,
that's what she's gonna be with. But yeah, I just love. This is a beautiful song, and it's funny because every time I think about this song, all I can think about is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade when he got booed.
Oh, I remember that. I forgot all about that shit.
I think also when this first dropped, I think a lot of people did not know how to handle. Oh, and that was post Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
that was only because of that.
People still were like giving him a hard time.
Still support
but
this.
Think about you performing at the Thanksgiving Day Parade, bro.
Music.
He would have gotten a much harder time if this happened in this era. Like that Taylor Swift thing happened in this era,
bro.
Thank God Taylor Swift is winding down, and we can all fucking move on from Taylor Swift because
she's not winding down.
Oh God, I hope so.
Shout out Scooter Braun. Here. She's still out here. I don't really listen to her, but she's still out here.
That's
well, Who Will Survive in America follows that.
Gil Scott
Heron. Great sample from him.
It's a great wrap up.
Yeah, it is.
For the whole album, for that transition of what you've been hearing of those last 2 songs to then going to that Gil Scott Heron fucking, that's beautiful. And that'd be the way you just tie it up. Yo, this album really is the best hip hop album in the last 20 years. There's only one album I put remotely in the realm of this.
Good Kid, Mad City.
Good Kid, Mad City.
He performed this at Gil Scott's memorial. Actually, he performed this, and he performed what was the other shit he performed?
Yo, you talking about 808s and Heartbreak?
No, he performed Lost in the World. Yeah, that's what he performed. Lost in the World and Who Will Survive in America at.
Can we make an agreement when Ye performs
service.
the 20th anniversary, this album? We're going.
I really regret. I got so nostalgic.
I feel like he detaches from all his albums, though.
Yeah, I watched.
I think this is one.
Well, you do remember like he did on the 10th. I think it was the 10-year anniversary of 808s and Heartbreak. He performed
in LA.
With LA. I really regret at this time that I didn't make it to Coachella when he was wearing the Celine shirt. I really regret not making it to Coachella that year that he performed because I watched it on YouTube. I watched the whole hour. I just watched it.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, like, he went through his run of hits, and I understand that, like, some people say, like, yo, a versus with him and Drake would absolutely beat Kanye.
It's hard.
Kanye performed, and the only feature that he had was Pusha T to do Runaway at the end. That was it. He performed like he just went through the whole hour set, and that also showed me that nigga's condition is immaculate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know now. But when he in 2011 Coachella, that nigga was in shape because that nigga was on that stage by him fucking self.
Because 2021 in that Atlanta Center, he didn't look that in shape to me.
He usually performs by himself on stage.
Oh, I'm just saying though.
No, he's of that era though. He's of that era of being able to perform and maintain a stage. That's another thing. Like that's why also I think Kanye is so much more of a monumental artist because he's in the middle of both eras. So while he's been able to reintroduce this constant new sound to us that we've gotten used to every other album, he is still giving us and touching what we grew up on. That we as in that 30-year-old range, 33-year-old range understand and love more and more. Because he's been able to not only do it for this generation and be that person in this generation, but he's grabbed everyone from our generation that we looked up to before even our generation, worked with them and came through consistently. Kanye is probably in our lifetime the most consistent artist we've seen.
Just a quick FYI, Drake's Coachella performance was fucking horrible.
Oh, Drake couldn't. Yo. Drake could not perform his first few. Drake couldn't perform to like.
Oh yeah, remember the.
If
Drake
you're
hand?
Watching this, it's too late. Maybe.
Remember the Drake hand?
Yeah.
If you're reading this, it's too late. Might have been the first tour that Drake was like,
Drake
oh.
hand. But let's rate this fucking album. I feel like we all on consensus. 5 out of 5, right?
5 out of 5. 6 out of 5. Fuck that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with a 5 out of 5 for this one. I mean, there's a lot of history and a lot of moments on this album that just like coincide with the music, and you can't have one without the other.
Yo, you guys have heard me talk shit about Kanye so much. You've heard me shit on Kanye so much. This is one of the albums that absolutely not. This is amazing. This is the reason the culture is the culture, like part of it right now. The reason why we have the artists we have right now. Kanye, hands down, is the most influential artist of our lives that we've been able to really experience.
That's true, because when you think about it, Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson was who our parents experienced,
exactly.
Right? So obviously we experienced because Michael Jackson was in the 90s and everything like that. But Kanye West from 2004 till now is the artist that came out and kind of I would assume that most of us didn't become fucking kingpin drug dealers, right?
I'm here.
So my thing is just that Kanye West was kind of like the everyman as far as an artist, right? So all of us could find something to relate to. Regg is from the Midwest, right? So that made him feel proud that Kanye West was from the Midwest, even though Michigan and Illinois be having they beef and they little rivalry and shit like that, right?
Because they seem
right?
that far from each other. But okay.
I'm just giving
4 hours apart.
It just looks that way on the map. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. I'm just giving my little breakdowns, right? So Danny, who is a lover of 70s soul music, right, heard Kanye samples and fell in love with that, what he did with what Kanye was able to do with that, right? Mm-hmm. Myself, who is a pure lover of rappity rap shit, and the way Kanye came out on his backpacker shit and basically putting fucking Talib Kweli and Jay-Z on the same fucking song, right? Kanye West is just the fucking love child of everything that hip hop is supposed to be. It's like A Tribe Called Quest, Public Enemy, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, all got together, had a consensual orgy, and fucking birthed Kanye West.
I want to Ayo so bad, but it makes so much sense.
That's all I'm saying. I just really wanted to just say that shit. And I know some people might be like, yo, T, what the fuck are you saying?
They're going to say pause first of all.
Yeah, they're going to say pause, right? And I'm going to say, yeah, pause. But what I'm just saying is just that what he was able to give us, what he's giving us,
yeah, pause.
It's given classic.
All I'm gonna say is I'm gonna leave it at that.
It's fucking good. It's fucking good music, okay?
It's the gabagool.
Okay? It's the gabagool. All right? It's
we're
the
gonna
gabagool of
we're
fucking
gonna
good music.
You know what I mean? We're gonna wrap this up. We're at 5, right? All around.
Yeah, five waffles out of 5, baby.
Okay. I'm first class, bro.
And I'm fucking gabagool T. You fucking.
And we out.
We out. Thank you.
What are you gonna do?
Give me your fucking money!